Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you on Cricket 360. I'm your host, Dr. Nilesh Mehta, joined by Professor Anand Desai. Professor, I'm in lovely Arizona. Sky is blue, weather is nice. How are things in Mumbai?
Mumbai, first of all, good evening from here and good morning to you. And of course, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever our viewers may be. Uh, Mumbai is it's winter in India right now, although Mumbai is not that, doesn't see that much of winter, but it's a little chilly for sure.
Well, talking about chili and spice, the IPL mega auction just concluded a few days ago in Saudi Arabia, and lots to talk about. This particular episode is exclusively dedicated to the IPL and all the 10 teams that have formed their plans, their players. So let's jump right into it. Professor, uh, Professor has diligently made a wonderful slide deck, and we will be referring to these from time to time. So, of course, this is the 18th edition of the Tata IPL, which will be starting on the 14th of March and go on until the 25th of May. And, of course, June will be the World Test Championship in England. So it will be a packed cricket season. Of course, these are the 10 teams, as most IPL followers on Cricket 360 would know. And we all know who won last year. That was the Kolkata Knight Riders. Now, if you look at the IPL, Professor, your thoughts on this particular slide?
Well, clearly, Mumbai Indians and CSK right at the top, 5 championship titles each, but KK are not too far behind. They've 3 titles now, and by far the most comprehensive, a point that we made last week is that the most comprehensive win across all the 17 editions. So KKR looks strong once again, and of course 1 title each for Rajasthan Royals, Deccan Chargers, now defunct, of course, Deccan Chargers, but also Sunrisers, Hyderabad, and of course SRH. SRH, and there should be a fourth, Rajasthan Royals, of course. So those are the 4 teams that have won 1 title each.
One of the things
so that's
that
how the
one of the things I wanted to bring up on this particular slide of yours is that
Gujarat Titans as well. Sorry, Gujarat Titans also have won 1 title. Yes.
Correct. One of the things, rather than count who has won how many, one of the things that jumps out to me also, in addition to what you said very appropriately, is the number of times RCB has been runners up, 3 times. And the number of times the Sunrisers Hyderabad have been runners up 2 times, and they have not won the title. Will this be the year or not? We will see. But what we have decided is we'll pick different teams and talk about a couple of key points what Professor and I think about. Let's start with Delhi Capitals, Professor.
Yeah. So just made some notes on Delhi Capitals. First of all, I think there's some change at the top, right at the top, right? No Ricky Ponting, no Rishabh Pant. That's the immediate thing that you notice. You also don't know whether, so there's a new coach now, head coach, Hemang Badani, and a new director of cricket, Venugopal Rao. But on the cricketing front, there is Rahul, KF Rahul, who has come in, incidentally not the most expensive. So one doesn't know, I mean, going by the history, one doesn't know if Rahul will captain or not, because captaincy, there's a belief that captaincy tends to take the sting away from him. He's too good a player. And so one doesn't know whether it's going to be Rahul or Aksar. I think there's some exciting batting power, firepower that I see in the form of Stubbs and Fraser McGurk and Harry Brook. So they've invested also Fab du Plessis. They've also, I think, bolstered the bowling in terms of Mitchell Stark, is who I see. So that's what I see with there's Natarajan, of course, and there's some Mukesh Kumar. There's a few others that they've got. I think every side, in a sense, if you will see, are kind of focusing on death bowling and at the top, right? So Stark at the top, and of course there's Mukesh Kumar and
Right.
likes of Natarajan who will actually maybe bolster their death bowling.
Now, let me give you my 2 points on
Oh,
this.
great. Okay.
And I think that the bowling of Akshar and Kuldeep is going to be interesting. You talked about the captaincy. There is some thought about Jake Fraser McCurk. He's been kind of drying up on his runs in Australia of late. And then the more important question is, how do they handle somebody by the name of Faf du Plessis? That will be something interesting to see. Moving on to Punjab Kings, Professor. Take it away.
Yeah, big news with Punjab Kings, of course, is Shreyas Iyer, right? Bought at 26.75 crores. That's a massive amount by any stretch. What you also see is investing in a bunch of all-rounders. They've also invested in bowling. You look at Arshdeep Singh and Marco Jansen and Yuzvendra Chahal and Ferguson, so there's some bolstering of the bowling. There's a bunch of all-rounders I see. Anything else that you can see? I think there's some point that you were making offline about Mushir Khan, right?
Yeah. Well, the one brother got in, the other brother did not. And I don't know how their family
And the
dinner
more famous one,
discussions.
right?
The
The
more
more
famous
famous one.
yeah. That is
Sarfraz
true.
Khan.
Sarfraz Khan, correct. No, I think Punjab Kings, of course, the talk of town is, of course, Shreyas Iyer. How will he captain the Punjab Kings? And, of course, the IPL winning captain of KKR. And, of course, he has Glenn Maxwell, Marcus Stoinis to go along with him. So it's a team that Shreyas Iyer will have to work on. Lucknow Super Giants, Professor. Big story here is, of course, the one that I would like to say is Rishabh Pant and Nicholas Puran joining hands. A very interesting thought. Two wicket keepers, two players who almost did not play cricket again in their lives. Nicholas Puran had a bad injury. Rishabh Pant, we know, had an accident where he almost died. And for them to be coming back to normalcy in life was the goal initially. But for them to play cricket, both wicket keepers, both southpaws, and now in the same team, it's a wonderful story. And of course, Professor Mayank Yadav is also another good story. But your couple of points for the West Indies fans, they would be interested in knowing about how Shamar Joseph will play.
How Shamar Joseph goes, for sure. I think that's the big yes. But I'm particularly excited, to be very honest, about Nicholas Puran. I find him and Rishabh Pant going together. I think that's going to be very exciting, both very exciting. And of course, you spoke about the life-changing, almost potentially life-threatening injuries that both had. And I think it's going to be exciting. Both are very, very exciting talents for me. And it'll be lovely to see them. There's complete bolstering. I think there's a lot of, there's a new look side. I think it was clear last year as well from the well-publicized, the outburst almost that the owner had with KL Rahul after one of the games. And so I think it wasn't surprising that they're going to sort of go heavily on a completely new squad. But they retained Puran, so they showed faith in him. I think he was the standout player for them, no question. So for West Indian angle, Nicholas Puran, the one to look out for.
And I would love to see Shamar Joseph get a few games because he's also a raw talent coming from the West Indies, and the love that Indian people have, particularly for the West Indian cricketers, we all know. Moving on to the Kolkata Knight Riders, an organization run very tightly under the CEO Venki Mysore. And the big question here is going to be, who is going to be the captain of this team, right, Professor?
Yes. it's very interesting. KKR, historically, if you see, they've actually they've always invested in a captain. You go back in time and there was Gautam Gambhir that they bought for a massive amount. Then there was DK, Dinesh Karthik. Then they had Shreyas Iyer. So they invested in a captain always. The first time that there is no one who's actually captained. There's no captain material, and yet they splurged on Venkatesh Iyer, who's actually not an international. I mean, he's played international games for India, but you can't call him an international because he's not a regular. And so they've splurged on him. It looks like they're going to hand him the mantle of captaincy. He shows signs of leadership, and that would be interesting, right? They've kept the core. What I see is that they've kept the core, and that they've also they've also got back, they've also bought back some of their core players as well. And so, but they've also invested in some bowling. The likes of Nokia is who I see. That's interesting for me. Nokia has been an interesting signing. They've also got in someone like Rahane, and people like that. So it's a side that I feel believes in a certain philosophy that they have. Not too many star players, but very effective match winners, and they've kept the core.
Talking about match winners, I mean, the season that Sunil Narayan had last year, if he has another season like this in 2025, watch out for that young man from Trinidad. Rajasthan Royals, one of my favorite teams, I would say, and primarily because of Sanju Samson, Professor. I really enjoy Sanju Samson when he plays. There have been talks about he doesn't perform when it really matters. But Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sanju Samson, that combination right up there sounds so deadly, doesn't it?
Yes, and you said it. If you look at the last 2 or 3 seasons, they've started so well. They would be the first one to qualify, and then at the back end something happens, and then they manage to not even get past the big stage and get to the final. They didn't. In fact, last year they were the first ones to qualify. They were eight wins and 1 loss, I remember, at one point, and then they lost in the qualifiers. So yes, that's been an issue with them. But certainly Jaiswal and Samson, Parag, Riyan Parag, exciting people, exciting talents there. There's also Hetmyer, the West Indian angle. I find him just a very fresh, bubbly kind of a character to match the seriousness of Sanju Samson. So he just brings in a different element. He's a character, a very interesting character. I always see a happy-go-lucky side to him, and that I think gives a bit of color lends a bit of color to Rajasthan Royals. Incidentally, managed by a very serious Rahul Dravid, right, and a rather serious Sanju Samson. So I think you need someone like I also see Jofra Archer coming back, right? Coming in.
I would love to. Going to be absolutely. I would love to see Jofra Archer talking about. He brings a color to the team, and it's also interesting what color hair Shimron Hetmyer will have coming up in the next season.
But of a different kind, a color of a different kind is the interesting signing of Vaibhav Suryavanshi, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Vaibhav Suryavanshi, this 13-year-old kid who played India under 19. I mean, can you imagine, Professor? He's going to be playing along with Yashasvi Jaiswal, Samson, Riyan Parag, Hetmyer, and of course, Rajasthan Royals coached by the ex-India coach, Rahul Dravid. So what an experience this 13-year-old kid is going to have. I mean, amazing. The Gujarat Titans.
13, mind you, at 13, a multimillionaire, right? So, wow. I mean, I think that's motivation for people to play cricket, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, talking about Titans, the first 4 or 5 names right there tells you the story. You have the one of the all-time greats, Rashid Khan, Shubman Gill, who's been going through some injury, and there's a talk that he may or may not play the pink ball test match in Australia, which is the ongoing series right now. And of course, you have Butler and Kagiso Rabada, and of course, Mohammad Siraj. Professor Siraj, of course, coming through that injury of his, and he's got a lot of time to recover. So I think he will be okay. And of course, you have Washington Sundar and Tewatia. You have a pretty seasoned team, isn't it? The Gujarat Titans, even though, in the past,
It's a young side, yeah.
young
I mean, it's
side.
a young squad. It's a young franchise. I think losing Hardik Pandya was a big one, but I think I think Shubman Gill has stepped in nicely. They didn't have a great season last year, but I think they've kind of one surprise for me. A point that I made, I think, in the earlier program that I did is to let not to use the right to match with Mohammad Shami, who I thought was their special bowler. Instead, they've actually invested in Siraj. In fact, got him paid more for Siraj than they would have for Shami. They've also got Ragabada and they've got Prasidh Krishna as well. So looks bowling wise looks decent. They've actually got one of the big signings has been Josh Butler, right, to bolster the batting. So that would be interesting as to how the batting goes. There's Gill, there's Sai Sudarshan, who's made the nice noise. So it'll be interesting as to how some of the younger talent like Shah Rukh Khan also come to the fore. There's immense talent there, but we'll have to see as to how they go.
Yeah, 2 points that I want to make, Professor, quickly on the
Right.
Titans is that the Ashish Nehra style of coaching and Shubman Gill style of captaincy, they kind of gel well together because both are kind of cool kind of customers, and I think that will for the long term go quite well. The other thing, of course, our West Indian fans who are watching cricket, they would want Sherfane Rutherford to have a few
Yeah.
games as well. So
Just a point that I wish to make with Gujarat Titans. You made a point about this captaincy and the coach going hand in hand, going well, gelling together. But I still believe it's the players who play out in the middle, and you need to have people coming and firing and playing to their potential right there in the middle. So I think that's going to be critical for them.
yeah. The Mumbai Indians, Professor, uh, they got
Yeah.
a nice catch. You were talking to me about Will Jacks.
Yeah. Oh, Will Jacks was interesting, right? I mean, what was interesting during the auction, and it meant so much to him to them that, mind you, RCB, and he was signed for 525, right? 5 crores, 25 lakhs. That's not in the context of the amount of money that some of the others were made. I thought 525 wasn't big, and yet Rajasthan. I beg your pardon, RCB, that's Royal Challengers Bengaluru, they did not use the right to match for Will Jacks. Will Jacks was one of the success stories last year. They did not match it, and they let Mumbai Indians actually have him. And it meant so much that Akash Ambani, the franchise owner, actually got up and went across to the RCB side and actually shook hands with him. So, I mean, that was interesting. What I do see is that the core set has been retained. If you look at Hardik Pandya, of course, came in last year, but also Bumrah and Surya Kumar Yadav, Rohit Sharma, Tilak Verma, they are the core set. They have retained those people. They've bolstered their bowling lineup with the likes of Bolt and Deepak Chahar coming in. They're both international players. Bolt a proven record. Ex Mumbai Indian, by the way, they've got him back. And a very different left arm, very different. I have a lot of regard for Bolt as a bowler. I also see a lot of all-rounders. If you see a lot of AR over there, right? A lot of all-rounders. And they've also, one of the other interesting things that I saw is that they were almost silent on day one of the auction, and they went big on I mean, they were very active on not big but active on day two, and they invested in basically a lot of young talent. If you see, by the way, Mumbai Indians has among the best scouting support staff that you can find, right? Both Mumbai Indians as well as CSK. So they've invested a lot in these young talent. You look at on the right side, there's just a bunch of young talent that they've invested in. So those are the big points for me.
Yeah, couple of points that I will make, Professor, is a couple of points that I wanted to bring up is watch out for Gazanfar, the mystery spinner from Afghanistan.
Oh yeah,
he is going to be something to watch. And the other point I wanted to make is they have like 4 or 5 captains in the team, Professor. You have Jasprit Bumrah, who is just captain India with a magnificent win that we saw in Perth, beating Australia. Hardik Pandya, who is the captain of the MI squad. Surya Kumar Yadav, who is the captain for Team India. In India, right? And of course Rohit Sharma, the World Cup winning captain. So in terms
of 5-time winning MI captain.
5-time winning MI. So you talk about. So that's just another interesting point. Chennai Super Kings from the land of Chennai in Tamil Nadu, India, Professor.
Yes, so they've. I think they've again much like Mumbai Indians and KKR and Rajasthan Royals. I think they've kept the core. If you look at, there were some. They've kept the core and they've kind of got back the core. They've so they're Gaikwad and Jadeja and Pathirana, Dubey, and of course the talisman himself, the one and the only MS Dhoni. But they've also got back Conway. Interestingly, they've got back our Ashwin, who started his career with CSK and who might, given his age, he might actually end with CSK. So that is quite interesting. I think it's an emotional one, and I think Ashwin also was emotionally actually posted a little message on his. He's a YouTube star, by the way, as you might know, and he posted one emotional message for them that he's exciting. He's very excited to play with MS Dhoni, and of course alongside and under Ruturaj Gaikwad. So it looks like they've kept the core, but what is interesting is that they've now started to look beyond. It appears that they're starting to look beyond MS Dhoni by looking at some of the younger talents, right? So you look at, they're invested in younger talent like Anshul Kamboj, Rahul Tripathi, and a bunch of different others. There's a bunch of others on the right side. If you look at Mukesh Chaudhary and Kamlesh Nagarkoti, a lot of Sheikh Rashid, there are a lot of them that are young talent. So it looks like there's also all-rounders that I see, a lot of AR over there that you see. So, CSK has always kind of gone with people who can do two things together. And so that strategy has remained. Historically, that's how they've gone. But it looks like they're now moving on, and they're moving on from the MS Dhoni, this very strong MS Dhoni link. I think they're trying to now move on and build a side now once again.
My couple of points on this Chennai Super Kings. First of all, they are going to make tracks that are going to be spinning at Chepauk, because they basically said that we're going to load ourselves with spinners. We got, as you mentioned, we got Ashwin, they have Noor Ahmed. So we're going to have spinning tracks. Come play, come beat us. And second point I wanted to make is, of course, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. We keep saying last season, but he's there more as a mentor, a father figure, if you will. And
there are memes coming out now, right? That Virat Kohli's children are going to play with him and stuff like that. So I mean,
but MS Dhoni has been a puzzle of Indian cricket for so many years.
Yeah, but I think Chennai Fortress, the fortress is what they're looking at. You made a point about spinners. That's what's going to be, and they have added it's been their fortress.
We'll spin you out. Hyderabad. who have never won the IPL. And Pat Cummins of
They
Australia
have
will be,
won.
will be
They won
yeah,
the
they won
IPL
one,
one.
one time.
Yeah.
I take that back.
Yeah.
So thanks for reminding. But Pat Cummins, of course, he'll be captaining the Hyderabad franchise. And it's interesting that how things will change. They are playing a 5-test series in Australia, India versus Australia, and come March, the same gentleman, Pat Cummins, will be coming to India to captain a IPL team. And come later in the summer, he'll be coming to the US because he also plays for the San Francisco
Yeah.
Unicorns in Major League
Yeah.
Cricket. So it's becoming quite international, quite a blend. But Pat Cummins, he has enough support, you think, Professor?
Well, I think I mean, Pat Cummins, the bowler. Yes, he has support. They have. I think they've tried to. Mohammad Shami is a useful signing for me. Harshal Patel. I think towards the death bowling. I think they've probably focused on that. A lot of franchises are trying to focus on that because last year we saw a lot of them going big on in the last few overs. So I think Harshal Patel is a move in that direction. I mean, I think one thing that we saw with Sunrisers Hyderabad last year is a very top heavy. You look at Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma, that is as formidable an opening pair that you can find. Hell for lather. They were going hell for lather and putting up these massive, massive scores. And then there is Klassen that comes in till the signing of Shreyas Iyer and the likes of Shreyas Iyer and of course Rishabh Pant, the most expensive, almost the most expensive. Of course, Mitchell Stark was 24 crores last year, but almost the most, certainly the most expensive retention. But they've also got Ishan Kishan, so they've got an extremely extremely top heavy firepower, batting firepower. But I see a bit of a question mark in the lower middle. I see a bit of question mark after perhaps Nilesh Reddy coming in at 5. I don't see many others in the lower middle order, perhaps. So I think just as Abhishek Sharma emerged and just as Nitish Reddy emerged last year, they would hope that some Indian talent, young Indian talent, just emerges out of nowhere and does the bit for them.
Yeah, you mentioned about the specialists in T20. I think using a baseball analogy, where in baseball they actually have seventh inning specialist pitchers. In baseball, you play 9 innings, but there are now specialists who've just coming out to bowl the 7th innings. So I think the super specialization of the bowlers, how they will be utilized, is all going to be monitored over a period of time. Same thing with the batters. But moving on to RCB, I think this is a franchise, Professor, where the focus is never. This is my opinion. I could be wrong. We're never on winning the trophy. They somehow lack that last punch for whatever reason. They have the superpowers, superstars. They have always had great players in the team, but collectively, the way they need to gel and perform, for some reason, that element is missing. So that is one reason why a team that is as confident, as gifted, the players that you see here, they have not won. Other thing is, they don't. If you look at their lineup, they don't have many left-handed batters, right? Other than Krunal Pandya, they don't have much by way of left-handed batters. So in terms of that combination, that potentially could be an issue. But your thoughts on RCB?
Yeah, I think RCB for me historically has always been the bowling. I think absence of a reasonable bowling lineup, right? I mean, for me, it's always been focused on batting. If you look at historically, their signings have always focused on the bowling. They did sign Mitchell Stark, who didn't play for them. They've signed Hazelwood. He's news is that he's not going to be playing the second test because of injury. One will hope that he will be fit by the time IPL comes on. March is too far away. So Hazelwood is there. There's Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and there's of course Yash Dayal is there. But they've bolstered once again, just to make that point that we were making earlier. They've once again bolstered that firepower in the form of Phil Salt, who I think is a great sign for them, and Liam Livingston. These are the two big batting signings that they've had. So for me, it's really bowling that is an issue with them. That's been an issue with them. You see, let's understand, that Bangalore track, that Bangalore wicket, you need some really special bowlers, right? I think, and I don't know, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is towards the latter end of his career. One doesn't know about him. Hazelwood is a decent bowler, but in T20, I'm not so sure. So we'll have to see. That wicket is a very difficult wicket, and which is why they've gone with batting firepower. But you need some really good bowlers. I think losing Harshal Patel I think he was reasonable, but towards the maybe last couple of seasons, he's probably not had a great time, perhaps, and so they'll let him go. Bangalore track is not the easiest to defend. When you're batting first, they're not able to defend then. That's been an issue with them. So one hopes that they're able to turn around. I think they're a very popular side. By the way, Bangalore, perhaps, aside from Chennai and Mumbai Indians, are the most followed team, very loyal following, right? So owe it to them to do a repeat of what the women did last year.
True. No, I think this was a quick wrap up for all the 360 viewers on the upcoming season next year in 2025. I want to thank Professor Desai for joining at late hours from Mumbai, and you have a good night's sleep, and thank you for joining, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.